Hi, folks. I would like to share with you right now something you might have heard of before, but don't know much about. In all of my years and decades of working with organizations in executive coaching and facilitating retreats for all sorts of organizations, I always heard that there is at the upper levels of an organization, upper levels, the chief operating officers, chief executive officers, the owners of the organizations, at that upper elite level, there seemed to be their own unique form of communication, executive communication. And I was always fascinated if there is such a thing. After I retired from a lot of the active work I was doing from organizations in 2012, long time ago, I said, let me go see if there is such a thing as executive communication, and are there secret rules of executive communication. What I did is I contacted 57 of my former clients that I served, whether they were owners of businesses, chief operating or chief executive officers, the very elite, the presidents of the organizations, the very elite in organizations, and asked them, is there such a thing as executive communication? And if so, are there rules to it? Are there principles and practices to it? Of the 57 people I contacted, they just about all of them returned my emails. And most of them said, yeah, there is such a type of communication only shared by executives. 2/3 of the people said, yeah, I think there is. And when you find out, Tom, why don't you communicate your results to me? The remaining 1/3 shared with me some practices and principles and do's and don'ts about the secret forms of executive communication. Now, even if you may never become an owner of an organization or the chief operating officer of an organization, you may come into contact with these people. And knowing the rules, the communication practices they operate by will help you communicate better with them, improve your professionalism and credibility so that they trust you more and more. So I came up with a whole bunch of these principles. Let me share with you some of these. When an upper level executive communicates with someone, another upper level executive, they communicate directly with each other. They don't go through secretaries or delegate down. They go person to person. So there is a personal relationship between top executives within the same organization or in other organizations. And they work on this relationship formally and informally as well. They practice something I'd never heard of before, and I came up with this idea called the rules of two. The rules of two. Executives will only ask for something or offer something twice. If they don't receive any response for asking for something or offering something, and they will never ask or offer something to that person again. Understand their words are important, their time is important, and they will only ask for something or offer something twice. It's one person said it succinctly, if they haven't responded to me after twice, they're not going to do it anyway. That's the rules of two. One thing I've heard is that at executive levels, they keep on developing. And that's why a lot of these executives hire executive coaches to help them with their development. The more experienced they become, the more important active listening and sincere questioning becomes. They like asking what if questions. What if we have another outbreak of COVID? What if the market changes? What if we have a new competitor in the market? What if the people we're serving starts creating other needs? They love asking these what if questions. And in meetings or in conversations with their people, if you're one of their people, be prepared for them to ask those kinds of questions. If a senior executive asks for your input, make sure you're semi-prepared and then offer organized, thoughtful, and even poised responses, because how you respond to them is a sign of respect to them, as well as positioning yourself as a professional in that organization. Here, if you do not know the answer, admit it. Don't try to bullshit them. They will know that right away, and that hurts your credibility. If you do not know, say, I do not know, and I will find out by end of day. And you better report back to them in some way by end of day, the answer to it. You don't have to know everything. You do have to know how to find something and to respond to it. One way I learned about this secret rules of executive communication is that I was observing their communication styles. I was observing how they ran meetings. I observed how they had social interactions with folks. The more I observed that, I found out that they are very comfortable with that, and they view the importance of relationships with other executives. Here's some specifics. Never ask for an executive's private cell phone number. They will give it to you whenever they deem it to be necessary for them. If an executive sends you an email or leaves you a voicemail, if possible, respond with a more direct mode of communication. If they email you, call them back. They want something right here and now. If you leave a message for another executive, provide a specific time when you will be available. I will be back here in my office or back up on my cell phone at 4:35 p.m. or at 10:20 a.m. Be specific. Their time is valuable to them. Time is money for them. I'm going to share with you now 3 dimensions that we've covered throughout this video series that top executives take seriously. And actually, if you're a person within their organization, these 3 help you position yourself for recognition, if not for promotion. They look at how you conduct meetings where they're just a participant or observer in it, large or small or interviews. Make sure you conduct these meetings with purpose, with organization, with clarity, and with efficiency, focusing on positive actions, positive results and outcomes, or following through. How well do you conduct those meetings? If you are still a little foggy on it, go back to our previous video on how to conduct effective business meetings. The second thing they look at, we've already covered, and that is fair, systematic, and direct forms of delegation. They view as you being organized, you coordinating your people. They appreciate people who delegate well. And then thirdly, that secret we talked about a couple of videos ago about the performance review. Executives know performance reviews run correctly, as I presented in a previous video, is one of the secrets to improving the organization. So these 3 practices you may do, understand they're good in themselves, and your bosses or senior bosses are looking at how you do that, how you conduct meetings, how's your system of delegation, and how do you rely and use positively performance reviews. Hope that makes sense. Here's a couple specific things some of the people said. Use the phrase, I need your help, very sparingly, maybe only once in a relationship. Top executives do not want to hear from each other. Hey, I need your help for this. I need your help for this. I need your help on this. No, only use that once in a relationship. Make sure, and they between themselves, they also hoard the phrase, feel free to use my name when you contact this person. Hoard that too, because their reputation amongst themselves is to be cherished. They will be willing to help each other, and to a point. They don't want other senior executives being overly dependent on them. That is a sign of weakness. Here's something really old-fashioned. I'm sorry I'm bringing this up, but a lot of them still appreciate men and women, different ages, different cultural backgrounds. They still appreciate the best clothes you can afford, well-tailored and being well-groomed, that your professional image still has a place for many of them. Along with that, basic manners and courtesies still have places in their ways of seeing the world. If an executive does you a favor, make sure that you at least respond with a handwritten note. You may want to include a unique or meaningful gift as a token of your appreciation. They appreciate being appreciated. Some of these people and their families may be involved in charitable organizations. If you know about that, many of them want to remain anonymous in their giving in those situations. If you know that they are involved with a local community nonprofit organization and they have helped you out, you may make a contribution to that organization, not in their name necessarily, but just report back to saying, Ms. Smith, I know you are involved in the March of Dimes in our area. Please understand that I have made a contribution as my appreciation to what you did for me. The more advanced and seasoned an executive becomes, the more communication becomes essential to them, but not in the ways we've covered in this course. They look at some of these nebulous dimensions: integrity, loyalty, morale, ethics, pride, respect, class, balancing the details with the big picture. They find those things more important. So if you can communicate things that reinforce some of these nebulous dimensions, that makes it comfortable for them. And if it's comfortable for them, it'll be comfortable for you. Yes, indeed, there is a secret language of executive communication. When I reported these findings back to the 2/3 of the people who wanted me to, they said, oh, I knew that, or I never knew that before, or this explains how that person operates. So even though it is not communicated, and I'm sorry if I'm divulging secrets of executives in this video, there is a secret level and dimension of executive communication. Even if you're not an executive or nor aspire to be one, if you have to communicate with them, understand that's what they're used to. Ponder this, chew on it. Thanks.